Shalom family, we're going to talk about these pastors that are in fraternities and Masonic rituals, and they're in all type of even sororities. Some of these women, they're in a lot of witchcraft, and they are the ones that are laying hands on people, praying over people, speaking into their lives, and they in so much of the occult. And I dug a little bit deeper about the man that went off at 2819. I think he was one of the pastors there, and how he was from the, south side, and, how he was starting to get fleshly and carnal. Well, he's in a fraternity. Yes, he's in a fraternity, and a lot of their leadership is in fraternity. And I wonder why Pastor Mitchell's not preaching about that, and why would he have pastors underneath him in fraternities unless he's in one? Because a lot of these pastors are in fraternities. We know that William Murphy is, we know Jamal Bryant is, we know, I believe, Marvin Sapp, and a lot of these pastors and bishops are in fraternities. So, and they're also into the Masonic. A lot of these gospel artists and actors and actresses, they're all in it. So they're all worshiping the Baphomet, but they're defiling Yahuwah's house with strange fire. So we're going to talk about it, because I'm exposing them. That's what Ephesians tells us. We need to expose who these people are. And we know that with Eddie Long got exposed, but what did his congregation do when he got exposed by those 4 men that he was doing things to? They put a king crown on him and a robe and was carrying him around. And a few months later, he wasn't here no longer. Well, he lost a lot of weight, and a lot of people say he had that package. But guess who took over his ministry? Jamal Bryant. So that spirit was still in that congregation. And a lot of people thinking that Yahuwah is pleased with that. Yahuwah ain't pleased with that. This is carnality. This is sin in the church. This is what Yahuwah was talking about with all those churches in Revelation. The people are so caught up in the sin. Do they even preach repentance anymore? Do they even preach about fornicating and adultery and, gossiping, slander? So many of these pastors are sleeping with one another in the pulpit, or they're molesting young boys. I talked about that in another video. And we have these same people out here recording records. We have the same people out here doing convocations, out here doing revivals, and the same people out there asking for money. But they're living in mansions and in fighter jets. They're going places, wearing Italian suits. But the people are suffering. But I don't feel sorry for the congregation, because the word says you're supposed to know the word for yourself. And if you want to set in these people a pastor that you knowingly knowing he's sin, that's on you. You'll be held accountable. Now, he's held to a different standard, because he said that he was called by Yahuwah. But he's held to a different standard. He's going to be judged. And he's going to have blood on his hands. A lot of them are. The secret societies that they're in, the fraternities, Yahuwah gave these Yashar'el pastors a standard. They're supposed to teach Yashar'el the Torah faithfully. They're never to mix and serve other gods and worship in idolatry. They're supposed to be the shepherd, not to be exploitive. And when they join the fraternities and sororities and Freemasonry and secret societies, they are taking oaths to strange gods and blending light with darkness, something Yahuwah completely forbids in 2 Corinthians 6:14-16. So how does Yahuwah view these leaders? Well, Ezekiel 22:26-28, Her priests have violated my law and profaned my holy things. Her prophets have daubed them with untempered mortar, seeing vanity and divining lines unto them, saying, Thus says Yahuwah Elohim, when Yahuwah hasn't even spoken. We're hearing that a lot, especially on social media. Ezekiel 34:2, Woe be to the shepherds of Yashar'el that do feed themselves. Should not the shepherds feed the flocks? And in Isaiah 29:13, This people draw near me with their mouth, and with their lips do honor me, but have removed their heart far from me. They may preach, they be, hollering and screaming, sweating, singing, ministering music, shout, fall out, lay hands, speak what they call a word over you, but their allegiance is divided. To Yahuwah, this is spiritual adultery. And Yahuwah will judge these false leaders. In Deuteronomy 23:11-12, both prophet and priest are profane. Yea, in my house have I found their wickedness, says Yahuwah. Wherefore their ways shall be unto them as slippery ways in the darkness. I will bring evil upon them. In Ezekiel 34:2-10, Son of man, prophesy against the shepherds of Israel. Behold, I am against the shepherds, and I will require my flock at their hand and cause them to cease from feeding the flock. And Jeremiah 50:6, my people have been lost sheep, and their shepherds have caused them to go astray. Yahuwah will hold these leaders accountable for every soul they mislead, and their titles and fame will not even protect them. So you keep your mansion, your money, your Italian suits, your fancy sports car, and whatever you do in the dark is certainly coming to light. So many black pastors, bishops, apostles, gospel singers, actors are indeed entangled in fraternities, sororities, Messianic rituals. These are covenants with other gods. They stand in the pulpits or on stages if they represent Yahuwah, but in reality they serve two masters, as in Matthew 6:24. Yahuwah's judgment will be harsher for them because they caused Yashar'el to stumble, James 3:1 and Matthew 18:6. The remnant must separate from them. Come out from among them and be ye separate, says Yahuwah, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you. 2 Corinthians 6:17. So, in short, Yahuwah will judge the descendants of Yashar'el, who stand as leaders but lead his people into other gods. Their rituals, oaths, and fraternities expose them. The sheep must stop following them blindly, or they will share in their judgment. Now let me ask you a question. If it was a man that walked into 28:19 and started speaking and rebuking the congregation and telling them that thus says Yahuwah, that you're not supposed to be worshiping your pastor, but you're supposed to worship me in spirit and truth, you think they would have ushered him out? Shut him down and saying, hey, I'm from the south side, don't get it twisted? Probably. Because when you already have carnality in your church, it starts from the leadership. The response that we saw tells you a whole lot about what really goes on behind the scenes. Now trust me, I know this because I used to be privy to a lot of these big pastors like Benny Hinn and his wife and Juanita Bynum, all of them. I used to see things that happened behind the scenes that I already knew that they didn't serve Yahuwah. That it was all about the money. That's when I knew that Yahuwah had to pull me out and come out of Babylon. Because we always think in Babylon is only the Gentile nation. No, Babylon is our wicked Yashar'el leaders that are professing to be leadership over Yahuwah. And they're being exposed. And I'm thanking Yahuwah that he's using me to be one of the people to expose them.